Okay, so in today's video we are going to be looking at how to find the endpoint of a line segment when given the midpoint and the other endpoint. Now, in the first lesson we looked at how we could find the midpoint when given two endpoints. So in the sense what we'll do is going to work back from this. So you should be familiar with the formula that we've been using. So to find the coordinates of the midpoint x, y, we take the x coordinate of each endpoint, add them together and divide by 2 to give us the mean or the average. And for the y coordinate we do the same. We take the y coordinate of each endpoint, add them together and then divide by 2 to get the average, which will find that midpoint. So let's just look at an example before we move on how to do finding the endpoint. So here's my line AB. So I'm just going to move the page down so you can see my example. So we want to find the midpoint of the line segment AB. Now if these were just 2 points without a line in the middle, it would still be the same. Okay. So the coordinates of A are 2 and 1, and that's not massively clear on my printed sheet. And the coordinates of B are 7, 5. So remember to go across the x-axis and then up y, along the corridor and then up the stairs. So that should be in focus now. Okay, so using our formula from above, I'm going to find the coordinates of the midpoint. So we're going to do x1, which is 2, plus x2, which is 7, all over 2. And we're going to do y1, which is 1, plus y2, which is 5, all over 2. So now all I need to do is simplify that, and that will give me the coordinates of the midpoint. So on the line below, 2 plus 7 is 9, all over 2, and 1 plus 5 is 6, all over 2. And then we'll just do one more step of working. So 9 over 2 is going to give me 4.5, and 6 over 2 is going to give me 3. So the coordinates of my midpoint, we can call this m if we want. M for midpoint equals 4.5, 3. And let's plot that now and see whether or not we're correct. So this should be exactly halfway up the line. So we're going to cross to 4.5, which is about here, and then all the way up to 3. So my midpoint is there. I'll just label that. Okay. Now we're going to go on to finding the endpoint. So again, we need to retain our formula. So we've just recapped on the work we did last time. So we can use the formula again to find the endpoint if we know the midpoint and the other endpoint. So what we can do is we can split the formula into the x part and the y part. So you can see here, look, taking the x1 plus x2 all over 2, and I've just set that equal to x, and then the same for the y part as well. So essentially we split it in half. We don't need those brackets anymore because we're not sort of relating that this is the x coordinate, this is the x coordinate, this is the y coordinate, this is the y coordinate. So now we've got two nice simple equations that we can solve by substituting in x values into the left hand side and y values into the right hand side, and then we can just balance to find the missing x coordinate. So what we're looking for is we're going to look for x2 and y2. Yeah, we know that the midpoint coordinates, and we know one of these two x1 or x2 coordinates. So my first example, A is the endpoint in the line segment, so I've got A down here. Just move that so you can see it. So I've got A, which is 1, 2, so I'm just going to label it there. Nice and simple. And M is the midpoint, so that's going to be 5, 4. Now you don't actually need the image to do this. You don't need the graph. You've just been given the coordinates. You should still be able to follow the procedure. Okay, we're looking for B, so if M is the midpoint there, B is going to be somewhere up here. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, just to begin with, the new equation for finding x. So x equals x1 plus x2 all over 2. Now I know that the big X is my midpoint, so I'm going to substitute in 5. Now I'm going to put the numbers that I substitute in brackets initially, so you can see where that's coming from. Okay, so that's the x coordinate of the midpoint. And now I'm going to put in the x coordinate of A, which is 1, plus, we'll still call it x2, all over 2. Now at this point here, don't forget we're going to put brackets around it to show that's where we substitute. At this point here, all we need to do is we need to use our inverse of BIDMAS, order of operations, to solve and to get x2 on its own, which is the x coordinate of B. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to undo the all over 2. That's the first thing we have to get rid of. So the inverse of divide by 2 is multiply by 2. So I get 10 equals 1 plus x2. Now some people can find it a bit tricky to see what the next step is. If you rewrite that as x2 plus 1, it makes it a bit more clear. We're just going to get rid of that 1 there by subtracting 1. So that becomes 9 equals x2, or x2 equals 9. Now if you wanted to call it xb or even b, you're more than welcome to do that, but we know that that is the x coordinate for b, so we know that it's going to be somewhere on this line here. Okay, now essentially we're going to repeat the exact same process to find our y coordinate. So again, my formula, y equals y1 plus y2 all over 2. Let me just down slightly. Okay, so we know that the y coordinate of the midpoint is 4. I'm going to substitute that in. Remember to evaluate your work vertically, just so it's really clear what you've been doing. Okay, so the y coordinate of A is 2, plus y2, which is what we're looking for, all over 2. And again, the exact same steps. We have to get rid of the all over 2 first, so we multiply everything by 2 to cancel it out. Okay, we'll get A equals 2 plus y2. Next step, get rid of that positive 2 there, so subtract 2. I have gone into the margins there, but it's not affecting the equation. So 6 equals y2, or y2 equals 6. So, and we can even write that now. So we could write, therefore, B equals 9, 6. Just make that really clear that that's your answer if there's no answer box. Okay, so I'm going to go across to 9, and I'm going to go up to 6, and I'm going to plot that point. Label that B. Now if we've done it correctly, you can take your ruler and continue the line, and the ruler should go through that point. So you can see that that is correct. There, yeah. do 2 more examples that's slightly more difficult. Okay. Now this time around, I am going to go straight into the working, so you're just going to have to follow, and you can always go back if you've forgotten the equations that we're using. So example 2 for finding an endpoint. So we've got A is the endpoint in a line segment, so I've got A up here, line segment which is AB. M is the midpoint. Find the coordinates of B. Okay, so the coordinates of A are -4, 3, and the coordinates of M are -1, 1. So you can see why I picked this one. We're dealing with negatives now. Okay, so -1, that's my coordinate for the midpoint, the x term, equals -4 plus x. We could even just leave that as x now. Just say we're looking for x over 2. Okay. So balance this one, multiply both sides by 2, I get -2 equals -4 plus x. I'm going to add 4 to both sides, so I get -2 plus 4, that's going to be 2 equals x. So there's one coordinate for B. And then we're going to do the exact same but with the y's now. So I'm going to say 1 equals 3 plus y all over 2. So we're going to multiply both sides by 2. I get 2 equals 3 plus y. And then I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. So I get 2 take away 3, which is -1 equals y. So my coordinates for point B should be B equals 2, -1. And let's have a look if this is correct. So I'm going to go across the 2, down to -1. That's my point B. Let's have a look. Yeah, that looks accurate to me. And you won't always get these grid lines either. So some people might try and use a jumping technique, which is fine for simpler questions, but again you need to show your working. That won't work on questions where you've got perhaps decimal answers, or there's no grid lines, or using big numbers. Okay. Final example. Okay, so again, A is the endpoint. This time round, A looks like it is 4, -3. And you can see there's no grid lines here. And M is 1, 1. So this time round we've got a slightly different example in that it's actually going up and backwards, isn't it? So B is going to be up here somewhere. Okay, so again let's start with the x coordinates. 1 x coordinate of M equals 4 plus x over 2. Multiply both sides by 2, I get 2 equals 4 plus x. Subtract 4 from both sides, I get -2 equals x. So there's one part. And then last step, I'm going to say -3, which is the y coordinate of my midpoint, equals 1 plus y over 2. Multiply both sides by -2, I get -6 equals 1 plus y. Subtract 1 from both sides, I get -7 equals y. And it looks like we've made a mistake here, because I think that should be positive. If you have a look at my situation there, so let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 1, 1.